Hey guys, on Good Moral Tactical, today we're going to be reviewing the new Mec-Gar Glock 19 Steel Mag. So stay with us and see how it turns out. Ah! Oh no! All right, so yeah, let's talk about that intro, the mag falling out, okay? I was not expecting that with this Mec-Gar. Before we started recording, I put 2 full mags through the Grit Grips frame that we have been shooting on this channel for a while. Not once have I had any mag fall out, but 3 different times while trying to film this magazine inside of this frame, it fell out during rapid fire. I don't know why.
Hey, so I actually figured out why that's happening. I'm going to go ahead and put a timestamp here in the video if you want to jump ahead to the ending where I go over that. However, you stick with us, we're going to go over the rest of the review in the other frames. So stick with us.
This is based off of the Gen 3 platform. It does have a different angle to it. I think it's about 18 degrees compared to a regular Glock having a 22-degree angle. So when we're just standing right here, it feeds in, wiggles just a little bit, but it's not coming out. So the only thing that I can think of is that maybe from the different angle where it's going in, it's rocking back and forth as it is trying to feed the ammunition inside of this frame. That's causing it to fall out. It could just be a bad mag. I have another one that I'm probably going to test a little bit more to verify that with this one, but a little concerning. If we look at the other magazines that we have, though, we have the Mec-Gar, we have the Pull Mag, we have a Factory Glock, and then I have an ETS. So let's just look on how they insert into the frame. Let's see. So we're going to start with the OEM mag. We're going to insert it in here with a mag well, and it is flush with that mag well, so you're not going to have anything protruding out. Move next to the ETS. Same footprint as the OEM. It's very smooth and flush with the magwell that I have equipped it on this. Now with the PMag, it did stick out just a little bit, enough to kind of get your fingers around it on that magwell. The Mec-Gar though, it comes out as if you would already have an extension on a factory Glock mag or a PMag, which makes sense because they're adding 3 extra rounds into this magazine by getting rid of the polymer. So this is the same size and dimension as the Glock 17 version, same round count. It's just that they put a sleeve extension on the base plate so that you have more grip to it whenever you're trying to pull it out of the Glock 19 frame, which is nice, but it does add a little bit of, we'll just say, oomph to your carry loadout. Now let's look at the other things that we have here on the table. So we have the Ruger RXM that we've done the video on. You all know that this is based off of the Gen 3 platform as well. It doesn't have as much of a aggressive angle to it as the Grit Grips does, but it feeds in about the same, gets in there, wiggles around, but it's not falling out. This one did not fall out during our rapid fire testing. Did find out that one. So I feel easy about that. I don't know if it's the frame or the mag, but anyways, give you some comparisons. Here's the mag pool. Got our ETS. Then we got our factory Glock mag. So with the Ruger, because of the way that it's built, nothing is like super flush to it. I would probably be okay with having this. If anything, it gives me a little bit more room to put my pinky down on if you're wanting something a little bit more full size. So that's nice. And then we have a factory unmodified, I'll add, Gen 5 Glock. So Didn't fall out on that one. I'm going to start with the OEM Glock mag. ETS. Magpul. And Metgar. So, fits nice in there.
Okay, so let's talk about what I figured out. So I reached out to Metgar with the issue that I was having with the magazine falling out, and we did confirm that it was happening even if I was shooting it with one hand to where nothing was hitting the mag release, because for a while I thought maybe I was hitting the mag release and it was causing it to fall out because of it. But what we came up with, if you have looked into the Metgar magazines at all, you kind of already know what the selling point is, and that is that it's a metal magazine, but instead of them doing a cutout, instead of them doing the cutout portion, they tampered it inwards so that it wasn't so harsh. And it made it to where you're not supposed to have to change out your mag catch, which is really nice because if you know anything about metal magazines from Shield Arms or like MBX for Glocks, they were chewing up the mag catches for a lot of people's firearms. And so that's why Metgar decided to do the tampered edges instead. And I like the idea of it. But what's happening is, because I alluded to it in the video, the Grit Grips frame is an 18-degree frame when it comes to where your grip angle is on the frame. Glock is 22. And so what's happening is when it's inserting itself into the frame, normally the mag catch would just sit right here on a 22-degree angle Glock. And when it's going back and forth, you're not going to have a whole lot of movement. But because you're shifting it 4 degrees, doesn't seem like a lot, but because it's 4 degrees shifted inside the frame, every time that you start doing rapid fire and the rounds are getting pulled out by the catch and all the movement is causing this to vibrate and rock, so that because it is a rounded edge here at the top, it is rocking back and out the magwell. And so if you have an aftermarket frame that has a very aggressive angle to it compared to Glock, you're probably going to have some issues. Now, you may be able to get a different mag catch that's a little bit beefier, that it holds on to it in that tapered edge there at the top. But if you don't change out the mag catch, you'll probably have the same issue that I did. I reached out to Metgar, we talked to them, and they confirmed that there was no compatibility with the grips frame that I have. And I think they're going to work on that. They were really receptive to the feedback that we gave them. We worked for about 3 weeks with them on talking through what we were seeing with this magazine, trying different things before they came to that conclusion. And to me, that's the biggest thing. They were receptive. They didn't blame us. They didn't say the product is fine and that you are the problem, it's user error only. They wanted to hear from us. We sent them tons of videos of us shooting it in different ways. We even took off the base plate and the faller all the way out just to verify if the magazine body itself would fit into Grit Grips and how it acted. So we worked really intensely with them, and I really appreciated that. They didn't have to take any of our feedback. They could purely said, that's a one-off issue. That's your fault. We're not taking care of it. But they wanted to hear from us and they worked with us. So for me, when it comes to the final say of this magazine, do I like the Metgar metal magazine? Yes, I do. If you have a regular Glock or even a Ruger, because as you saw in the video with the Ruger RXM, because it is only a 20 degree, not a 22 degree, it fit inside of there, and we had no issues whatsoever with shooting this magazine inside of there. So I really like these. I would like to get the Glock 17 and put it onto a full-size build, and I would really like to try it inside of some of the new 2011s that are taking Glock magazines, like the Staccato HD, or for me specifically, I want the Stealth Arms Platypus to really try out and see how those work. Because when it comes to competition, metal magazines is pretty much the base that you're going to see in competition shooting with most people in open. Division is everybody is using metal magazines for their 2011s or their CZ Shadows, etc. And so being able to get an affordable metal Glock magazine that is $30 versus MBX mags that are close to $100+ for each time that you get a magazine. I like the price point. I like what they're doing. I just want to test it in more firearms with the other magazines that they're going to be releasing. But I like the concept of it. I like what they're doing, and I really appreciate what they are doing as a company when they want to hear feedback, because this is a Gen 1 product. Okay, take it for that. It's a Gen 1 product. Without testing, they're never going to know what every aftermarket part is going to do. They're only using the OEMs, okay? And you have to take that into account as a buyer whenever you're getting a product and it says it is a Glock replacement. They're probably only using it in an OEM frame. They're not using it in every single aftermarket frame that we see. And that's the case. I like the Grit Grips frame, but they didn't test it in a Grit Grips frame. They tested it in an OEM Glock. So this is a Gen 1. They're probably going to come out with a Gen 2 that'll be even better, and hopefully it'll work in my frame. But I still support them. I think this was a great idea, and I'm hoping that they take some consideration in that we gave them for enhancements into the way that it works with that bevel system, and we can see this in more aftermarket frames. So that's my thoughts. If you have any comments, concerns, or if you disagree with my take on the magazine, go ahead and put it in the comments and let me hear it, and we'll go from there. See you guys.